stand since 1992. So
You call it evidence because statistically,
yeah.
they have had, so that's more of a linear argument. But if you were to look at it in terms of the actuals, then you would come to terms with reality where, say, 100 people are to take a decision on who represents them. Then out of the 100, only 33 go to the poll to make that decision. The 33 obviously is in a minority in the face of the actuals. So if that 33% sufficiently over the years give you a certain result, linearly you would say that yes, it is because it is for a people. But if you look at it in terms of the actuals, just opposing all the facts together, then you would come to the point that it's been a minority decision for all these years. And the day that majority would wake up and walk to the poll, we should be seeing a different picture.
Right.
And this is very reflective in the demography if you were to interrogate the facts. And so, yes, that is our picture.
So are you trying to tell me that since 1992, the voters have been largely NDC and they constitute the minority?
I wouldn't say they constitute minority.
Okay.
I'd rather say that it's been more of a minority decision having to represent the entirety of the constituency. So yes, fewer people have walked up to the poll to make the decision, and it has resulted in a certain, as it were, representation. But you get a clearer picture.
So, I mean, you're also trying to say that that is the reason the NPP has barely made 50% in that constituency.
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Yes. And also, you would want to look at the qualitative. Who have we put up to be voted for? What work did they do? But that is not my headache for now. I have had to do that homework to come to this point where I am convinced that with the efforts that we are putting in and with the feedback and responses that we are getting from the constituents, it's going to be a very different story this time around.
So what is your headache now?
My headache?
Yeah.
In terms of what exactly?
In terms of your leadership in the Kpone Katamanso area.
No, I only want everybody to come on board to make that decision so that it's more collective, it's more representative, because this is democracy. You cannot have the eligible set, we're talking 18 years and above. You cannot have maybe in excess of 400,000 people who are 18 and above. And then you go to the poll and only 91,000, less than a quarter. You're talking less than 25% going to cast their ballot.
Is that voter apathy?
It's a mix of different factors.
What are some of these factors that you're talking about?
Yes, one of the factors is that we are surrounded by a lot of constituencies.
Okay.
I think we are bordered by about 8 constituencies. And these constituencies, so we are a classical example of a peri-urban constituency. We are surrounded by the likes of Adenta, Medina, Ashaman, the Tema East, the Tema West, even the Tema Central area by technical implication because of how the proximity. You're also looking at the rural-urban migration. So people do live in the constituency. They owe their responsibility in terms of the voting to their mother constituencies where they migrated for. That's one part. The other part is that it's linearly very vast. And so if you're walking from the southern part, and here to put it in proper context, the northern part, down to the southern part where the EC headquarters is. And then we have had to undertake, let's say, a registration activity, and you create congestion in Kpone Katamanso. Already we are oversubscribed in numbers. We are too large in land size. And people have to walk through Ashaman to the EC center at Kpone and go queue for, say, a day 2 or 3. Whereas there is a machine sitting in Ashaman with nobody in line to, get registered. And these persons have also come from the very same Ashaman. I mean, they will so conveniently go back to wherever they must have come from. That is why you see the Ashaman numbers. The people who vote in Ashaman are way more than they're eligible. But the people who vote in Kpone Katamanso are way less. So you see it, Ashaman, Medina, and Adenta, you see an oversubscription. But when you come to Kpone Katamanso, you see an undersubscription. And when EC is even deploying their machines, they will still consider Ashaman for the volume of the voters rather than for the volume of the eligibles. So these are technical things that, if you ask me, coming from a more technocrat point of view, we should realign things so that we get a better representation of the people. And we cannot continue to do politics as usual, business as usual, and expect that we'll be better represented and therefore, implicitly, of course, drive development.
Right. Since we are talking about the factors that may have hindered your constituents from voting largely, when I was reading about Kpone Katamanso, one of the things that I noticed was that over the period, the people that have been voted for seem to be residents in that constituency. And to a very large extent, they are Gans.
So they are not resident. They are, you call it indigents.
Indigents, I beg
So
your
these
pardon.
are primarily, but even the current MP is
So,
not
I
a
mean,
full
don't-
indigent.
right, but don't you think they may also identify with such people more?
That's why I said that. Unless we are interrogating the very facts, each for their specific or uniqueness, then you will be able to come to terms with what should be rather than what it is. So it could also be by dint of coincidence that the two sides have put up gas to be voted for. So if you have a sample space of 2 gas and you have to select one, it will obviously become a gas.
So that for you has been the issue.
It's part of the issue, but there are
Right.
still many other issues.
Right.
So predominantly, starting from 1992, when we first started voting, where the population was not as large and where the Ghana numbers were pretty larger, or perhaps largest then, you would have had, of course, Ghana stepping up. And because the land belongs to them, it is their land. So you have a better representation from them. But as we speak today, the Ghana
Do you think the dynamics may have changed a bit?
it's not may have changed. The dynamics have changed, and the
Okay.
data is there to speak to it.
Okay.
Because you're talking about they now being the third in terms of numbers. Respectfully, they are still the big boys and big girls in town. But yes, we're talking representation, and you would want to
Move away
have,
from
yes,
tribe, right.
yes, because everybody has a vote, and the vote is equal in the quality and of course the weight. So yes, we have had Ghans. But how many non-Ghans have we even put up as NPP? I guess I'm the second non-Ghan, apart from Hobson. And so, yes, this is where we are. It doesn't have to be a tribal discussion. It's
Right.
got to be a discussion of who better quality-wise
I mean,
represent
since
the
you
people.
are there, I just wanted to find out if that has played a role over the period.
Yes, it has.
Right.
But among many other factors. And therefore, we should be true to the facts so that we can speak to it
Okay.
and educate our listeners.
Okay. Let's now talk about Kpone Katamanso properly. So it's dominated by fishing and farming. In your engagements, did you engage some of these persons? I mean, away from all of the industries that have been set up there.
If you see, even the discussion of the dominance being fishing and farming is a bit far from reality.
Okay.
Because the fisher folks are
So
along
you think
there.
it is a more industrial constituency?
It's more peri-urban.
Peri-urban.
Yes. So we have everything.
But there
in
are fisher
Kpone
folk and
yes,
a lot of farmers
definitely
in
they are.
there.
But to put them in the majority
okay.
in terms of their trade, it would be a bit erroneous.
Okay.
Because we have a chunk of our people being in the civil service, being in the trade business, and of course the fishers are there, the farmers are also there. But then the numbers are there. You can pull it up from the internet, and you would see that it doesn't exactly state that is the majority. Yeah.
But I'm asking because I want to know if in your engagement, if you have spoken to these number of people.
Yes, we speak to a diverse base, so it includes, of course, the
So
fisher folks.
when it comes to the fisher folk, what have they been telling you?
Oh, so you're talking about they basically want to do their business in peace, have when they go to sea, bring back their fish and have their peace of mind to sell it.
So what have been the issues that have confronted them? That is what I want to know.
Oh, I haven't really. The last bit that I had to address in my person was where the sea had to, in quote, had to be closed.
Okay.
The 1 month period. And then they had some reservations because last year some rice and other things were shared. And so they drew my attention. But I have asked that they give me time. I'll speak to the fisheries minister. But that is yet to happen because he was out of the country. I mean, she was out of the country at the time. But, I mean, far away from it, there are way different issues affecting different people because of the demography
Right.
we have in the constituency.
Have
So,
they also raised issues about accessibility to premix fuel?
and not that has come to my attention. There is a committee, and don't forget that there is also the municipal assembly that is very much at the heart of some of these discussions. And what I have done in my person is to separate the lines. So
you leave some of these issues strictly to the MC?
no, I wouldn't say that. But if it calls for our attention, we'll come in and address it. But I would not play octopus and seek to speak to every issue unless it has come up. Because this is a very heavily urbanized constituency with over 600,000 people, different sects of people, different social and ethnic backgrounds. So you are talking about a myriad of issues. So you would want to speak to them as and when. And of course, we like to speak to them research-based.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And some of the issues, I mean, coming to the studio, I didn't really apprise myself pretty well on some of the technical issues, because these are more technical. And then if you have studied my line of campaigning, I like to be as technical, I like to be as precise. So if it has to come to the point where technocrats or people with the mandate have to do the interrogation, I will not play Superman in that regard. Mine is to play leadership. That is what I'm aspiring for.
We'll switch a bit. What about the nature of your roads? They are
Terrible.
hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of
You're
roads
talking thousands.
thousands of kilometers of roads that have been a source of challenges to the people.
Yeah, that is a big one. And I would say that past persons who have represented us, and of course the sitting one, they should take all the blame and the responsibility. Because I put you there, you have to tell a story to the people, those that matter, so that they can address our needs and challenges. You don't speak, you come back with excuses, then for goodness sake, why did we take you there?
So you think the problem has persisted because your representatives have not performed?
Are we different from those constituencies that have performed better in terms of development? Is it the case that we don't vote in terms of the numbers? Is it the case that we don't even show up to vote? Because we are, at the last I checked, we were like around 2020, we were about number 14 in terms of the constituency with the biggest votes. Number 14 constituency, and we have been short of anything.
Right.
I wouldn't say sideline, because to say sideline means that clearly somebody who knows that they have to take care of you have decided to ignore. But we're talking about when you have not made a case for yourself, when you have lied to yourself with reality, and then now actual reality is catching up on you, you would not call that being sidelined. So we have had 16 years of MPP, 16 years of NDC. Even MPP is not up to 16. We're talking about maybe three quarters of the 16th year. And we have not seen any development. In fact, even the MPP has done quite well, because we've done quite a number of things. But
what has
all
the
in
NPP
all,
done?
of course, we constructed the Agenda 1. We've had our own share of it. A very beautiful edifice. You should come by
Your
to see it.
hospital is ready.
Oh, mine is very beautiful. And
Has it
and to
started-
think that this is a constituency that has never, should I say, voted for the MPP. To see this level of investment, that for me is significant. Just last week, the president was in town to commission the Dodua stretch. So the Adenta Dodua Road, a dual carriage, under construction. You can talk about the Tema Aflawo stretch, under construction, the Cosmo stretch, under construction. And to think that this constituency has not voted for the MPP before, but yet has seen so much under the MPP,
But they don't
that
have to
doesn't
necessarily
really add up.
vote for the NPP.
No,
to
that is
enjoy.
where I'm bringing in the discussion that if it were an issue of being sidelined, then we haven't been in regard to the current administration. But suffice to say, we have had 32 years of leadership in Parliament, or representation in Parliament, yet we haven't seen anything. And I ask the question, simply put, why? What? How are we any different from Tema Central? They have also voted. Ayawaso West Wagon, they have also voted. Domi Kwabenya, they have also voted. So how come we don't have any development? We should be speaking to our leaders and asking them questions. Because this has been the same government, but you haven't had the development you require. Somebody is drawing it to his constituency. You haven't drawn enough to your constituency. And then you sit back and want to blame the central government. I'm sorry, but the central government doesn't wake up in the morning from wherever, be it the Jubilee House or wherever, and come to work in the constituency, identifying your problems and challenges. Somebody that you put up there should know your challenges, should talk to you. And then when this information is collated, he takes it up, strategically decide on what he or she wants to address. And for 32 years, nobody has talked your matter for you, and we are excited about it. To say that it is the preserve of the NDC, that for me is a problem. It's neither NPP nor NDC. We should be talking about who we put right there.
Right.
I would say that NPP and NDC in itself may not be a problem, but the people who make it up may be the ones that are the problem. So in Kpone Katamanso, I would not even want to blame the NDC, even though in part I blame them, because they have also had their share, of course, for all the goodies that the constituency has done to the party. I would have expected that they would have done more, but unfortunately we didn't see that.
So how soon do you think, or do you expect this hospital that you talk about to be commissioned and operationalized?
It is not in my place to tell, because we're talking about a bigger discussion. And I like to stay real because I would have to. It's an issue of administrative procedure.
Right. So if your constituents met you and said, "Oh, I have seen this beautiful edifice being put up. We are in dire need of health facilities. When is it going to be ready?" What is the ideal response you'd give that
No,
constituent?
so we don't have a clear timeline, but we are anticipating.
Have you tried to find out?
Of course. But
What
we
has
should
been the
see.
response that you've been
We are
getting?
hoping to get it commissioned into full force before December. But it's not because of politics. It's rather because of the administrative issues you have to deal with. So you're talking equipment, you're talking about staffing. And these are more administrative issues that I will not want to rush into.
Okay,
to
but
make determinations on.
how ready is this facility in terms of percentage? Are you able to quantify?
I would have to check that because I like to speak to specifics.
When was the last time you visited the facility?
No, I don't need to. It's within the Kpone area, so if you have to drive by, you would see it beautifully
Okay, so
sitting
when was
there.
the last time you saw it?
This should be less than a month.
Okay.
And of course, the structure is all done. The equipments are fitted, but we have to wait for the administrative work to be done. And we are more in a hurry. The government is more in a hurry to commission it because why delay? There's more political points if we are to commission it. So we are more in a hurry than the people are in need of it. Trust me.
Right. Is it the first political portfolio that you are occupying?
So, yes, precisely, because I gave it a shot in 2019, myself and Hobson at the time. He prevailed, of course. And then I had to come back stronger and better.
Okay.
So
what do you think were your mistakes that made Hobson win over you?
Purely, come on, inexperience. I mean, the man beat me to experience at the time, and I'll be honest with it. Because it was my first shot.
Right.
And I came in barely about 2 months to the election, so I had not prepared enough.
If you were not prepared, what
No.
informed your
If I say
decision
prepared
to-
enough, it's a big discussion. Because, come on, after the match, you will begin to see where your
I
excesses or
understand,
mistakes
but
were.
before politics, what were you doing?
Interesting. So
Or
I've
what
been
are
with
you doing?
I've been with the National Malaria Elimination Program.
So you are into health,
Support staff, technically, yes.
right?
National Malaria Elimination.
Right.
And I've been, so my background, I did mathematics from Care University.
Okay.
Later to do supply chain management, Coventry, a few certificates here and there. I'm a project manager, and quite a number of certificates
You're
across
not
the country.
joking. You're not joking.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are gearing up for the elections already. How do you think your expertise will support the people there?
It's already started supporting them.
Tell us how.
So I approach it more from the data point of view.
Okay.
And you see, there is something about the NPP administration. If you can speak your data well, you get ahead. The right audience will be granted. Because you don't go, everybody, 275, everybody is asking for something to go back to their people. You go there and you just ask because everybody is asking. Then it means that you'll be put in the general pool. But if you go and you start speaking to specifics, then you would require some specific attention, which is what I think we have started enjoying. So because I started talking, even though I'm not a people's representative, we have seen some reshaping and some grading works already ongoing in the constituency. And I know that...
Which areas?
Oh, the
specifically?
Gwichley side has seen it. The Santos side has seen it.
Okay.
We started from the main road. But we also waiting. We have different, strategies in place, with different plans in place, hoping to roll them out. And, it's tricky. It's tricky in the sense that sometimes when you even mean well and you want to do the job, people think you're doing it for political expediency. So your timing is important as the work you're doing. And so this is where we are. I mean well, I wish to do well, but you have to be politically right with your timing. But to say that my expertise is coming to bear on the development of the people, yes, it has already started. I like it from data. I like it from quality representation. So I have been doing more of education when I go around there, that even if you think I'm not good enough, have your reason to vote against me.
Okay.
And if you think I'm good enough, have your reason to vote for me. But don't just vote for me because you are NPP or you are NDC. Don't just vote for me because you think he's a nice man. Some even think, yes, my wife is an Ewe, a pure Votarian from Akachi. So some would definitely vote for me because of that. But suffice to say that's a good one. I mean, I would enjoy it. But still, I want to educate the people that if you get it right, then we can collectively get it right. And so people ought to go to the poll and vote right, not just vote because they are NDC, not just vote because they are NPP. And this education for me is more of like a commission. It's my God-given assignment. And I want to do it for the people so that we can come together. Even the constituents, we can do so much for ourselves. Granted that we have the right leadership and the right structure in place, we are able to do so much for ourselves. But that is what we have not had.
We are about ending this segment, but briefly, tell the people of Kpone Katamanso why William is the ideal choice as compared to Joseph.
Because William understands the tax, the enormity, the challenge. That's point one. And because William has some good ideas, some good strategies that when we put in place, we are able to start getting better.
What are
I understand the
strategies
challenges
that I'm sure your people want to know?
No, that's what I talked about. You see, it's in two parts. There is a part that we draw from the central government, and there is a part that we can do for ourselves under good leadership. And that's what I'm promising. I can draw more from the central government, giving the nod, and I can also do a bit of the local strategy, the local solutions, which I have already started and which we have started seeing its fruits in the areas of the Bechley, a few other areas. The Santor stretch we have recently graded. The Bechley has been graded. We are touching the Calypso Road. And we will be doing all of these in a manner that will be, should I say, reflective of the people's challenges. So it doesn't have to be because I come from the middle belt area, the Bechley, Bishopcamp, Kakasnanka, Bethlehem side. I should concentrate all the development there. Those in the northern belt should also see the OEB stretch. Those in the southern belt, I have already initiated works on their water problem. And the Ghana Water has promised that if they have had to do some feasibility study, and they have promised that we'll be seeing some good news pretty soon. So these are things that we have started, even though we have elections to concentrate on primarily. So William is a leader you can trust, very honest, straightforward to the point, no embellishment. I say it as it is because that is what leadership should be interested in. And of course, I am also a part of the youth who constitute over 70% of the total population. And so being a youth myself, I understand the youth difficulties, challenges, and sure would be able to represent them in that regard. So a lot of other things. Of course, the people of Kpone Katamanso should be expectant of something good come 2025 onwards, because the leadership that we have not had in all the years gone by, we should have them by 2025 if William Ofosu Asante is given the nod.
Right. Briefly, all of these processes that you have started, where is the source of funding?
No, that's, if you heard me well, these are not things that I'm funding from my pocket.
Okay.
These are things that we are the two-factor approach from the central government,
and from
largely. And then the bit
local
of
level.
the local level, what we can do for ourselves. So an industry would say, okay, I'm able to support
so you're
you.
getting sponsorship from some people.
Of course,
Okay.
of course. Yeah. And this is good. You know, there are people out there who wish to do a lot of these things, but our leaders have not told the story as they should. In fact, they don't know reality. So you don't know my problems. How do you diagnose it, to be able to prescribe medication? You ought to know the problem, that you can make your prescription.
Right. Thank you very much for your time this evening. You've been hearing William Ofosu Asante, the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Kpone Katamanso area, telling us why the people of Kpone Katamanso should vote for him. Thank you once again for coming. It's been a pleasure. Now, before you wrap up on the campaign trail this evening, it's been 24 hours since the NDC announced its no-fees stress policy aimed at reliving fresh entrants into tertiary institutions from paying academic fees. In the aftermath, there have been varied reactions to the promise, with some questioning the basis of such a promise amidst the tight fiscal space the country has had in these times. Star News' Elik Blim Ewuku comes through with a wrap of what has happened since the announcements.
We realized that with the substitution of teacher trainee allowances with student loans, we could increase the capacity of the colleges of education to take in more students.
That was former President John Dramani Mahama in 2016, staunchly defending his decision on the non-payment of teacher trainee allowances. Just 3 months later, despite being in a comfortable lead, he lost the 2016 elections. Many critics point to this decision as a significant contributing factor. Fast forward to 2024, the NDC is now advocating free tuition for first-year students in public tertiary institutions, i.e. universities, and teacher and nursing training colleges. Stakeholders are questioning how this policy will be implemented. The NDC's Deputy National Youth Organizer, Osman Ayariga, assures that the party has a solid plan.
If you are able to cut expenditure in most of the places that there's wastage, we should be able to run this government. You do not need to be wasting so much money in all of these sectors. Talk about government machinery, talk about corruption, talk about other ministries that are overspending.
Unsurprisingly, the NPP does not agree. A member of the NPP's community